Hey everybody, Bobby Chu here. Today I hope this video will bring you a lot less stress and far more success. Because even though I'm working on movie and game projects still, while being involved or running for other companies, I don't stress easily. Now I know that can sound like, what? But listen till the end and let me know in the comments if you feel like you have less stress and far more success if you followed what I'm saying. Also, I want to mention that I didn't actually record the process of drawing this drawing. So instead, for this process video, I'm going to show you the layers that I did in order to create the final image. So in a sense, this is my process. So today's video is all about my story with stress. Art can give people a lot of stress. And if you're a student right now, if you're a beginner artist and you're already stressing about art, definitely listen to this, because imagine what happens when you get opportunities. My first big film was working for Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, and he was one of my absolute favorite directors, still is. So to work on a project like that, to give him drawings and things, you could see how stressful that could be. Oh, please, will they like it? Oh, I have to make them like this thing. Please, oh, please. You know, all these things can be very, very stressful. And not just that, but the whole entire act of drawing. Like, you know, will they like this drawing that I'm doing? Will people like it when I post it? Things like this. Those are the type of things that really gave me stress in the beginning, but they don't anymore. You know, back then I thought to myself, it's hard for me to sleep, it's hard for me to work, it's hard for me to do a lot of things because I'm so stressed out. I just wish that I could just do my work at my potential, work on amazing projects without the stress. Unfortunately, that wasn't my way in the beginning. I would use stress. I would be like, let's bring on the stress because that's what's going to make me move. That's what's going to make me really work hard and try to produce something awesome. Now, even though that's true for many people, including myself, many times it's only true to a degree. Stress can be like fire. We need it to survive, but we also need to keep it in control. Once it's not in control, it can become wild and destroy instead of nurture, motivate. When you have too much stress, it actually ages you and it's bad for your health. I always found it interesting when you see a president being elected and the difference in their appearance by the time they're done their term. They always look like they've aged considerably, way beyond the average person. I can only imagine how much stress they must go through to age them so much. I had the feeling that the stress was bad for me, but I still had that idea that I needed it still. But the problem was I didn't know how to manage it. The other problem was that I knew I had so much stress that if I didn't do anything soon, I would burn out. Now, a lot of people say meditation is good for stress, so I started meditating. But for anybody that is not used to meditating, especially during stressful times, knows that that is virtually impossible, because when you have a lot of things to do and you're sitting there just not doing anything, just you and your thoughts, what are those thoughts? They're generally like, stop meditating, we got so many things to do, we can't do this right now. And even though that can be completely true, I started to notice that all these thoughts that are going by that really concerned me were things that I had no control over. I couldn't do anything about it. It was in somebody else's hands. And that was the problem. And that also became my epiphany, because I started to realize I can't focus on things that I have no control over. That's a waste of energy, and that's a huge cause of my stress. Instead, I need to change my frame of mind of what success looks like. Because before, success would look like, oh, they chose my thing. Oh, I got that job. And these are all things out of my control. I need to take control of my success. So instead, my success became, am I trying my hardest? Am I putting in the time? And am I trying to be logical? All three of these things I have total control over, and I can do every time. And even though I might not get that job, that amazing job that I wanted, or they might not have picked my image, I know that as long as I keep doing that, I'll reach much closer to my potential, and in the end, I might bounce all around, but I'll generally keep going upwards. And that's exactly what I want, is for my career to go upwards. And if it's something big, gigantic, daunting, but yet super important, then look for the little tiny part within this giant task that you are able to do and concentrate on that instead of the whole entire thing, right? It's like that saying, how do you eat an elephant? Well, hopefully you don't eat elephants. They're wonderful creatures. But the saying goes, one bite at a time. You don't concentrate on the whole entire thing. You concentrate on one little action at a time. The things that you can have direct effect on. Now, for big projects where other people are in charge, guess what? You can still use this method because you still are in charge of things. I think to myself, am I doing the time? Am I putting in the effort? Am I trying to think about this in the most logical way possible? All three of these things are totally in my control. And so if I am doing all those things, then I know that I'm going in the right direction. Because when you think about it, if you are always putting in the time into those things that you care about, the effort while you're putting in that time, and you're always thinking about it logically, what will happen to your career as you go through the years? You can imagine that it's just going to go upwards. You might have some setbacks. You might not get the job that you really wanted, but that kind of attitude, that kind of effort, that kind of persistence in that way almost always leads people's careers on an upwards trajectory. And that's when great things will happen. So once I understood that, and again, just really just concentrated on what are the things that I can have direct effect on, those are the things I'm going to really put my efforts into. And as long as I'm putting in the time, the effort, and trying to think about it logically, I'm succeeding. And that became my new definition of success. And every time I would talk with artists, whether they're students or high-level professionals that also, of course, they will stress out as well, when they adopt this, they'll find that they have far less stress and far better productivity and a far better way of living, because now their lives are in their control. They're able to control how much success they achieve. They're able to control if they're successful every time because they changed that definition of success. If they did the time, put in the effort, put in the logic, then that is success to them. So much of our stress comes from the things that we have no control over. And this allowed them to gain that control again. And the result of which is generally always the same. They were able to take on much more. And many of these things that they're able to take on were very stressful as well, especially the professional artists. Yet they were able to take them on with far less stress and were able to actually enjoy what they do again at a much higher level. Now, before we go, I'd like to tell you about one of the most important things that have helped me to constantly improve, keep my career healthy, if that's okay with you. It's the fact that I'm learning regularly. I'm always taking a Schoolism art course. I generally do them on the weekends, but during the weekdays, I watch Schoolism videos during my lunch. And you'd be so surprised on how much those little bits add up in just a week. This illustration is done in a way where it's very unusual for me, but that's one of the great things about learning new things. It's stretching your abilities, showing yourself things that you can do that you never even knew. So I want to give a big shout out to Viktor Kalvachev because he teaches Deconstructed, how to draw people on Schoolism.com. Not only does he teach you the amazing ways that he thinks about drawing and people and likenesses, structure, anatomy, he also teaches you about line and how to draw. And even though I know how to draw, I don't know how to draw in his way. So it was really fun to learn. Now, if you subscribe to a Schoolism course, you wouldn't just get Viktor Kalvachev's course, the one that I'm taking. deconstructed drawing people with Viktor Kalvachev, but you would also get my digital painting course, where I teach how I digital paint, how I think, my strategies and methods that I've developed over the past 20 plus years of being a professional digital artist. And when you subscribe to Schoolism, you also get to learn from incredible artists like Terryl Whitlatch that worked on Star Wars, Chrystin Garland that works in visual development for television, concept painting with Irie Pan, book illustration with Marie Alice Harrell, learning from people like Jamila Knopf, Wouter Tolp, Gonzalo Carcamo, Craig Mullins, Ian McKegg, Nathan Fowkes, Oscar nominees, Dice Satsumi, Robert Kondo, the list goes on. When I think back to when I was in school, and if I could have had the opportunity to learn a whole entire course about storyboarding from a real director, after going through Viktor Kalvachev's course and really appreciating everything that he taught me, how much would I pay to be able to draw the way that he does? Oh, honestly, I would pay a lot, but at least $100. But actually, until July 4th, we have an amazing sale right now, the Schoolism Summer Sale, where you can get an entire year of Schoolism subscriptions, which means access to every single Schoolism course for $100 off the regular price of a Schoolism subscription. So you get an entire year of education for just shy of $200 US. That's the equivalent of $16 a month for some of the best education you can find, taught by many of the best artists out there. Sale ends July 4th, so go to schoolism.com and seriously take advantage, and I'll catch you all next time.